Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Irene, and I am currently working as a data scientist at the Dutch Met Office, the KNAW. And today I would like to share with you my personal experience during my PhD on how did we use and model citizen science data to contribute to open science. The people that you can see, the colleagues that you can see in this slide title are colleagues from the RIBM and Wageningen University that were the data providers during the entire development of my PhD. So when I was asked about doing a presentation about open science, I first thought, okay, but what exactly, or what is the open science officially speaking, right? Because in my mind, open science, it was kind of analogous to open data, especially because I'm coming from computer science, so we make this kind of equivalencies. But I started digging a little bit more on the concept, and then I realized that open science is more like a composition of things, so to say. Open data would be one of them, but also open source, open access, open educational resources, and but also infrastructure and data technology. But that is my addition. So these 5-6 different concepts or components are thought or envisioned to increase the transparency and the research integrity, and also to increase collaboration and speed up the production of results. So I would say that it is safe to say that open science means that there should be some sort of increased openness throughout the research cycle. So as you can see, I highlighted the open data one in this slide because I actually did lots of technical work there with data. So this is the closer concept that I had during my PhD. However, it is not totally clear what is open data, or I would say so, because if you take a look to the Open Knowledge Foundation definition of open data, you can see that it refers to availability and access, reuse and redistribution, and universal participation. This is similar, I suppose, to the FAIR principles that we might be more familiar with. And what are the usual suspects, like organizations providing this type of open data? You can, here in the Netherlands, you can find administrative data from PDOC and CBS. These are fantastic open data collections. If you take a look to the climate sciences and remote sensing, you have the Copernicus program from the European Union, and also KNAW data that is also open. And if you are more into data technology and machine learning, you can take a look to the machine learning repository from the University of California at Irvine, or you can just go to Kaggle and download some data for modeling. So what this classic definition of open data means is that these available data collections, they are usually high quality ones acquired by sensor networks, by satellites, but they are the product of simulations, and usually there is a small number of collectors contributing to these data collections. And well, this is simply okay. However, it's not the whole picture, because in the last couple of decades there have been lots or an increasing number of citizen science initiatives. And citizen science basically relies on the principle of enabling individuals with an electronic device to take measurements of the most immediate surroundings. And this, in combination with the boom of 3G, 4G wireless technologies in general in the last couple of decades, means that today we can collect a sample of whatever phenomenon that you wish to collect anywhere on Earth. Okay, so this is a powerful idea in reality. So these citizen science initiatives, they have been adopted with more or less intensity in the past 20 years. For example, they have been alive and kicking in ecology and environmental sciences for the past 20 years, and it is very recently taking off in the field of the climate sciences. Okay, so citizen science data collections they tend to have a variable data quality. You might have some collections that they have the samples have a lot of noise or they are biased, but it doesn't have to be like the norm. Okay, you can also have citizen science data collections that they have a really good quality, or maybe they are unique. So the quality is variable, but the volume and the pervasiveness of these data collections is something which is difficult to ignore. Okay, so during my PhD, this is the situation that I had. I had access to a couple of citizen science data collections, and working with them would hopefully contribute to open data and subsequently to open science. Just taking a quick look to the couple of citizen science data collections that I use. One of them was collected by volunteers linked to Wageningen University, and the second one was observations collected by the portal Taken Radar, which is maintained by the IBM. So in this first collection here, you can see a volunteer that is going to a transect of forest and pulling this blanket throughout the transect of forest. The volunteer turns the blanket every 25 meters and counts the number of ticks cuts in the different life stages. So the University of Wageningen had like this program in which 15 volunteers did this operation once a month for 10 years, and that is a collection which is pretty unique. I would say that, or to the best of my knowledge, is the longest collection of the sort on Earth. So it's a really interesting data collection. And the second one, it's more intended to the general, to collect data from the general public. If you go with your family, your friends, to a green space outdoors for some recreation or leisure activities, and you are bitten by a tick, you have the opportunity of reporting this tick bite to the RIBM in this case, and like this you can enable like new research lines, like my PhD, for example, in which we study what are these locations and why people are bitten by ticks in there. So what we have in the end is different groups of citizens collecting data about ticks, and this is very important because every year in the Netherlands, 25,000 cases of Lyme borreliosis, Lyme disease, Lyme-ziekte in Dutch, are diagnosed. So with all these global changes like the global warming and the modification of the heavy modification of the landscapes, we are seeing every year more and more cases of Lyme disease, and this is becoming a public health concern. So it is important to monitor the status of this problem. So once you have the data, what we did is basically modeling the data with auxiliary or other data collections. So here you can have some of we call these the tick dynamics. You can see the ups and downs of the tick populations collected by the human volunteers. You can see here some spots where people said, hey, I was bitten by a tick here. So we take the tick dynamics, we take the tick bites, and we mix these two data collections with weather data, satellite data, administrative data, land use, land cover, vegetation. So we prepare like this mix of data sources, so to say, and we model them with machine learning algorithms. So in this way, we can obtain indicators of tick dynamics and tick bite risk that hopefully will be useful to assist creating tick mitigation and awareness campaigns. Okay. So in a nutshell, these are three of the maps that we could prepare during my PhD that basically they stem from the observations collected by the volunteers. So from that massive effort of these 15 volunteers, we could actually map the average tick populations in the Netherlands on a daily basis. In this second map, we could combine the collection of the volunteers plus the observations of taken radar to devise the first human exposure map of the Netherlands. That is locations where people tend to go or to go for leisure and they are exposed to the tick. And finally, we could combine these two maps, so to say, and prepare this tick bite risk map, which basically maps at once all the locations in the Netherlands in which it is risky to go because you might be bitten by a tick. Okay, so upon the conclusion of my PhD research, I was requested to pack everything that I did during my research in a big folder and upload it to Dance. And well, yeah, it takes some time to do this exercise, but perhaps we have PhD students in the audience, and I would like to highlight that it is important to do this. It is really important because like this you can directly pick at my research in the event that you are interested, of course. So you would go to the central repository of Dance, and you could find my permanent folder there, and you can actually take a look to the code or part of the data collections that I use, and actually access each of the programs or scripts that I developed, or even some of the partial results that I got there. So I guess that initially one would just go to the PhD thesis or read the papers, but this is a valuable addition because you can actually see each of the pieces that compose my PhD. So just highlighting the importance of depositing data. So far it seems that I am presenting like a perfect picture, and well, I don't have any big complaint, I would say, but actually the core of my presentation today is this storm that I have added here, because as you can see, the link between citizen science and open data is not as straightforward as it seems, and the main reason for that is basically data privacy. It's very common in citizen science initiatives that these collections contain some personal information. And the thing is that individual privacy must be protected under European laws, which means that organizations can't share personal information with the general public. Literally can't. So this has as a consequence that it conflicts with the open data principle that I was saying before. It's kind of a paradox that I am presenting in this workshop today, but I think it's also important to highlight what are the hurdles down the line, right? So in my personal experience was handled as follows. We first signed some sort of data transfer agreement between the Wageningen University and the RIVM and the ITC, the GIS faculty of the University of Twente. So we agreed that tick data could be used for research within the ITC. That means myself, but other master students or other PhD students coming after me. But the redistribution of this data is totally prohibited. The data was certainly anonymized. I mean, when I received this data set, there was no personal name, no nothing, but there was a location, and the location might point to the home address of the user reporting the tick bite to the platform. So that is not okay, and maybe you don't have like the exact location, but you have the postal code with 6 digits, which basically delineates like a really small region in the country. So personal privacy is compromised mainly because of that. Regarding the data transfer process, we had a yearly update of these observations, and something that worked very well for us, and by us I mean ITC, Wageningen University and the RIVM, was making like these progress meetings maybe once a month or every month and a half, because usually organizations are really interested on how are you going to use data. And this is important as well in the sense that you just go there, you talk to people, and you can see that there is this kind of enthusiasm at collaborating in research articles, which is something nice if you're doing your PhD as well. So for me, overall, privacy was managed in a positive way, or it was a positive experience for me. I would say that organizations in the Netherlands in general, they are open to do research with their own data. However, you have to establish some terms and conditions, and I think that this is reasonable. In my case, the data was also prepared fast, and I am very thankful to my RIBM and Wageningen colleagues, and they are always interested in getting feedback on what are you doing. So as I was saying, it was a positive experience for me overall, and I am introducing this privacy problem in this workshop today, because I also think it's important for researchers to walk in the shoes of the data providers, right? Because sometimes citizen science data can't be open, and that might be a good thing if it's compromising in some way your individual privacy. However, it's also important for researchers to think on the following. Do the general public actually need the raw observations? What about if we just try to request the data providers to make some sort of aggregated products? Would we be happy with this, or making some sort of services or real-time indicators? So we should also think about these circumstances that the data providers have. So as a conclusion, I think it's important to mention that citizen science has the potential of contributing to open science, especially because the ubiquity of humans means that we can literally monitor anything. However, we need to consider privacy in the equation, right? I think also that researchers in general need to better understand the importance of open science, and to do so, I think it's important to promote the use of open source software and programming languages, because this contributes to the R of the FAIR principle, reproducibility, and also depositing your research data in a public repository, which would contribute to the rest of the acronym, the findable, accessible, and interoperable part. And I also think that it would be important that organizations and data providers, they assess whether the data can be at least partially open, okay? Because this might open the door to new research lines, and maybe sometimes the solution is just making a good and decent anonymization process, and that's it, okay? And maybe sometimes the solution is a bit more complex than that, but at least making this question, this assessment of saying, can we release something? Can we enable new research lines if we do so? So yeah, this and maybe thinking about releasing some more aggregated products that are not that raw, so they don't compromise privacy. It would be something that well, I think it would be an interesting discussion between all these parties. Okay, so this is all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hi, Irene. Thanks a lot for this presentation.
Thanks for having me this afternoon.
I think it's really interesting to hear some perspective of people working with citizen science. Mm-hmm. We don't have a lot of time for questions, but I'm just wondering if there's a question. I'm just going to look in the chats. There are some questions, I think, more related to the data set, which I think could be answered probably later. One of the things that I was wondering is, when you're working with the general public who is actually collecting data, do you think this increases sort of the advocacy for open science? And do the people that are collecting the data, are they aware of this this sort of concept and of the struggles that researchers have sometimes of making their data available?
Good question. I don't think the general public really understands what happens once they have contributed with an observation to some sort of platform, because for what I recall from the Taken Radar platform, they have to answer good number of questions, including like the location of the tick bite and some personal information and whatnot. And I suppose that they do that with the idea that they are contributing to some sort of common good. I would say that there is some altruism behind the action of committing like this observation to the system. But I think that they are not really aware of all these privacy issues that I was discussing before. I guess that they trust the institution of behaving decently, and well, in this case, is logical that they can trust the institution because it's the RIBM. But I don't think that there is like this awareness from the general public about these things.
And do you think you could use the fact that actually citizens, contributed that to sort of enhance the advocacy for making the data available, because it's sort of a communal project?
Yeah, I think that if perhaps if the group of people contributing to Taken Radar in this case, because I believe that there are around 10,000 contributions or maybe more now per year. I mean, if they just get organized and they just try to contact the data provider, the RIBM in this case, and say, we would like to have like some sort of map about what is going on, because we are contributing data and we would like to know. So I think that currently there are no movements in this direction, but I think it's legit for society to enter like legal channels and ask organizations for more information, so to say. So I'm not aware that this is happening, but I think it would be something legit, because you are contributing to this common good that I was mentioning before, right? So yeah.
Thanks very much. There might be some more questions in the chat. If you are around to answer those,
Yes.
that would be great. And I think we would now continue to our next speaker. So thank you again, Irene,